In this video, we're going to discuss polynomials. And polynomials are just functions that have powers of x. So a polynomial could be a function that is x squared minus 2x minus 15. So if you want to solve this to make it equal to 0, so solving this polynomial to be equal to 0, you'll get to do factorization. So factorization is going to give you these two brackets. So, and since we call this method the factorization, so you actually get the factors of the polynomial. So these two brackets are going to be the factors of the polynomial. And if you equate this to 0, if I solve this to be equal to 0, this is going to give you x to be equal to 5 and x to be equal to -3. This is the same thing we did as when we were getting the x-intercept. So these values, we call them the x-intercepts of the function, because these are the values of x when the y is equal to 0. But we also call them the zeros of the function, because these, again, the function is equal to 0 when its y is equal to 0. And the last name for it is, call it the roots of the polynomial. So the roots of the polynomials are said to be 5 and -3. Again, it's the same as saying the zeros of the functions or the x-intercepts of the functions. All translates to the values of x, where the y is going to be equal to 0. And when we say that we want the factors of the polynomial, then we are talking about these two brackets. So you notice that the difference between the factors and the actual roots is the difference in signs. So if I told you that a certain polynomial has roots -3, 1, and let's say -2, so this means that if you want to get the factors of these polynomial, this means that the polynomial could be written as such. If it has a root at -3, then it should be x plus 3. If it has a root at 1, so the bracket is going to be x minus 1. And since it has a root at -2, then the bracket is going to be x plus 2. In the same sense, if you have a function that is sketched like this, where this is -1, this is 2, and this is 5. So these values are the roots, the x-intercepts, or the zeros of the function. If you want to write this function, since it has a root at -1, then the factor, the bracket, is going to be x plus 1. If it has a root at the 2, then the bracket is going to be x minus 2. And since it has a root at the 5, the bracket is going to be x minus 5. So these are the factors. And the roots, again, are the values of x, where the function is going to be equal to 0. So one of the common questions that you might find on this is when he's asking for, he's going to give you a polynomial as such. So he's going to say that you have a certain polynomial that could be written as x squared minus 2bx plus, let's say, 5b. And he's saying that this polynomial has a factor of x plus 2. Okay, find b. So if x plus 2 is a factor of this polynomial, what is the value of b? So what does x plus 2 as a factor indicate? We said that there is an x-intercept or a root at -2. You always change the sign. So if there is an x-intercept at -2, x-intercept meaning that when x is -2, the function or the y is going to be equal to 0. So this is why we call it as well the zeros of the function. So the way you're going to solve this is the function is going to be 0 when the x is -2. So you plug in -2, replacing all the x in the function you have, and 0 replacing the y, because this is what factor means. So you get to solve this into 4 plus 4b plus 5b is equal to 0. So you can go ahead and solve this. You're going to get 9b is equal to negative 4. So the b is going to be equal to negative 4 divided by 9. So this is the value of b that will ensure that x plus 2 is a factor. Let's take another example. If I give you a polynomial p of x, and I told you that 2x squared plus kx plus 3 has a factor of x minus 3. Find k this time. So if the polynomial has a factor x minus 3, this means that it has a root or an x-intercept when x is positive 3. And when x is positive 3, the y is going to be 0, because this is an x-intercept value of x where the y is 0. So again, you can make the function equal to 0, and then you plug in 3 replacing the x. Each x you remove it and replace it by 3. So you're going to get an equation that only has k as your unknown. So this is going to be 3 squared is 9 multiplied by 2. This is 18 plus 3k plus 3 is equal to 0. By solving for this, you're going to get that 3k, if you move the 18 and the 3 to the other hand side, is going to give you negative 21. So your k in this question is going to be negative 7. This will ensure that when you put x to be 3, the y is going to be 0.